my channel. So as you can see today, I don't have on any makeup because this Spooky Mania video is going to be a scary story time. So I decided to tell a story instead of doing makeup because I need to give my face a little break in between makeup looks, and I just haven't had all of the equipment to do my next few looks, but they're on the way. So starting Thursday I will be back into the makeup, but today is just going to be a scary story time, and we're just going to have a little chit chat, I guess. So if you guys would like to see this story time, as you can tell by the title, this is my experience with the supernatural as a kid. If you like to hear this story, please continue watching. So in my family, we love scary things. We love scary movies. We love Halloween. Like, all of us spend our entire 365 days waiting for October and waiting for Halloween. Like, it's all honestly like what brings my family together. We love scary stuff. So when this scary thing happened to me, it really made me look at supernatural things and that topic in a different light. So when I was a kid, maybe around 5 or 6, 4 or 5 or 6, right in that age range, I had an imaginary friend, and his name was Kiwi. And it started out like any normal imaginary friend relationship, just, you know, have someone, a companion or whatever. And at the time, it just felt pure, like I had a friend. Then as I got older, I began to do more things that I wasn't supposed to do, bad things that would get me in trouble. And my mom told me that, look, you and Kiwi gotta stop. Kiwi has to go, because I was just doing worse and worse things. I don't. And every time I did something bad, I would blame it on Kiwi. So, you know, like any black parent would tell you, look, I'm gonna beat you and I'm gonna beat Kiwi, and I'm not trying to get no beating. So I told Kiwi to go, and I can remember just that day when I told him to leave. It's like the presence went from a friend to an enemy. After that point, I never really felt alone as a kid. After I told him to leave, I still felt his presence, but it was not the same friendly presence that I was feeling before. It was more angry, I guess. So while I was trying to keep myself from getting a whooping and getting in trouble with Kiwi, I just could remember just not always feeling like there was something near me, something scary, some danger. I can remember one time as a kid, I was playing out in my grandparents' yard, and my dad drove up in his car, and I could see like him coming around the curve, coming to my grandparents' house. I saw red eyes. And I mean, I'm a kid. I was a kid at this point, so you think whatever, just a child's imagination. But I can remember vividly a shadow with red eyes on the top of his car. And when he went to turn into my grandparents' house, the spirit, like I'm calling it a spirit, but I really don't know what it was. But it jumped off. I saw it jump off of his car and land into the yard like it was gonna come at me. So it jumped off of the car and landed in my grandparents' yard, but it jumped off and left, because I feel like my grandparents, my grandfather specifically, he may have scared us a lot, but his spirit was so strong, and Kiwi could not take that, so he left. And that was beautiful. That's why I love being with my grandparents, because even though he scared us, that man's spirit was so strong, nothing ever wanted to mess with him. I could tell. But one of the more scarier incidents, and the last time that I experienced anything with Kiwi, I was in my room. I usually would sleep with my sister because I was so scared to sleep in a room by myself. But I remember it was one night, for some reason I was in my own room and the lights were off. It's dark in my room. My bed sits right in front of a window, but the we had blinds, but you could still kind of see through them onto the front porch, and it was just so dark and scary in my room. And I can remember just sitting there laying in my bed just staring up at the ceiling trying to get to sleep. And it was, I don't know how late it was, but it was dark and everyone in the house was asleep except for me. So I was just laying there in my bed, dark room. There's a door off to this side, and the light was on in the hallway because my mom would let us leave on a night light in the hall. So all I could see was the light right there in the opening of my door. And then I felt myself like freeze, like I couldn't move. All I could move was my eyes, and I just looked towards the door, and I felt something coming closer, like a presence, a heavy presence coming closer to me. And I saw it's like a shadow just came through the door and around my bed. Like, cause my bed, it wasn't against any walls. It was like the headboard was against the window, but there's room over here and room over here. So my bed is just like right here, and all the spaces around it. And the shadow, like, it moved around my bed, and I'm just frozen. And to this day, I always have to have my bed against a wall. That's why I can't. You can come with me at one side, but you can't come all the way around my bed. My bed is always going to be against a wall in a corner where I only have one side exposed. But anyway, so I'm laying there and I can't move, and I'm just freaking out because I don't know what this is that just came in my room and is coming at me in my bed. And then just like I felt like my bed itself was lifting off the ground, like up, and I'm just sitting there freaking out. I couldn't move at all. I wanted to get out of the bed and run to my mom, but I couldn't. And I was sitting there and I'm just freaking out. And then, like, just out of nowhere, it's like giant floating heads. This is like the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It sounds very weird too, but it was like a skull, and there was faces of people I know, like my mom and my dad, but their faces were deformed and they just looked scary. Their eyes were black, and then these heads are just like speeding around my face, like just, it was like I'm looking up and they're just speeding around, and I'm just freaking out because it's so scary. And I'm screaming, like I couldn't move or anything, but I could scream, and I was just screaming at the top of my lungs. And I felt like I was doing that for at least 10-15 minutes, and no one in the house heard me. My sister's room was literally, there's a bathroom and then her room, so we're like literally, our doors opened up into each other's, so there's no reason why she couldn't hear me. My mom's room was like 2 rooms the other direction, so there's no, I mean, the house was big enough that they could have heard me screaming, especially screaming as loud as I was, but no one heard me. And I'm just sitting here in this dark room, and these scary figures just floating around my face, and I just did not feel safe at all. Like, this pressure in the room was so heavy, and I really thought I was gonna die. So eventually I hear my sister get up. My sister got up, and she came to my door, and she was like, T, what's wrong with you? Are you okay, T? And it's like everything just stopped as soon as she came there. My bed didn't feel like it was floating anymore. The heads were gone. But I was scared to get out of the bed because I just felt like that presence was still in the room. And I was like, when I got up, I was just crying. It was, that's like one of the most terrifying things that's ever happened to me. So as soon as my sister came in there and rescued me, I love her so much. She came in there and I ran to her, and we went and I told my mom. And ever since then, I really haven't had any experiences with that. I don't recall feeling kiwi around me anymore after that. But that was literally one of the scariest. I don't even know if I could call it supernatural. It was supernatural for me. I know now, older, that the definition of what happened to me is sleep paralysis. But in some ways, I feel like sleep paralysis can be connected to a supernatural being, because I don't have sleep paralysis all the time. That just happened to me once in that moment. And how it happened to me, I feel like it was way more than just a regular old sleep paralysis. So in my opinion on supernatural things, because of that experience, I do believe that there are supernatural forces and beings out there. And I feel like if you don't put yourself out there for them to consume you, then they won't. That's just my opinion though. Because I watch scary stuff and all that, but to a certain extent, I don't want to mess with that stuff, because that one experience as a child, like, I don't ever want to feel anything like that, or anyone to feel anything like that around me. Ugh, it gives me the creeps just talking about it. Like, I just got the chills. I haven't talked about that in a long time though. That experience was very traumatic for me as a kid, and I don't talk about it often. I was telling my mom that I was going to talk about this for my channel, and she was like, I didn't think you remembered any of that. But that's just because when things like that happen to you as a kid, you tend to just shut them off and put them in the back and try to forget about it. And that's what I did with that situation. So yeah, you guys, that was my experience with the supernatural as a kid. You guys leave a comment down below if you think that was actually supernatural, or I just had an overactive imagination, or let me know if you had a similar experience like that and want to share. You can share that down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for Thursday's video where we will continue our makeup, and I will give you a hint of who our next character is going to be. If you guys watch Tokyo Ghoul, he is one of my favorite characters. So we'll see you guys then. Peace out, honeys.